I didn't do a lot of anything related to basketball. That was good, but I was itching to get back too. So recently, I do a lot of film watching this time of year, particularly at night after the kids go to bed, after the wife goes to bed, analyzing what it is each team is going to be bringing to the table next year, things that we maybe need to think about tweaking, and we've actually begun in preparation for our trip to Canada in August. We get 10 days of practice, and then we play the University of Winnipeg and University of Manitoba up there. It's a trip you can take once every 5 years. So yeah, it's been good. Obviously, recruiting's never a dead issue. That's something we've been doing a little bit of, and this is the time of the year, literally as we speak, grades are rolling in. I'll check my email after I'm done with this interview and probably have a couple more grades in there. So all that's going well. It's a lot of monitoring. It's not as travel intensive as other times of the year, but you certainly can keep yourself busy, and just dying to get back with this group of guys.
How much downtime do you give the players before they get back into workouts? Is that something a week, 2 weeks?
Well, it's NCAA rules. The week before finals and the week of finals, they can't do anything. We give them a week off after. Now, they've still played on their own, and they can lift, and they can do some of those things. But it's a relatively relaxed time for them. Now, they've come back starting as of today, and they'll start lifting, and they'll start getting into their summer mode where they lift, they play. Some of them work a few jobs here and there just to get a little extra pocket money. Some of them will go to summer school, all in preparation for August when we start practice for Canada.
Is this the most important time right now for guys like Trayvon Wright to hit the weight room to put on some extra weight?
For this particular group, this time of the year is vitally important. I mean, I think we all see what this group is capable of. You see a kid like Trayvon, you see a kid like Taylor Braun, you maybe not as talked about, but a Dylan Hale, and what they can do with their body during this time of the year literally can determine what it is. Also, their jump shots. It's a great time to get in and work on their jump shots on their own. So, yeah, I would say it's always an important time. I would say this year it happens to probably be a little more important than most, just because of where we are. This group, I feel really strongly they'll get there. But if it's going to be sooner rather than later, times like this need to be a time where we're really getting after it.
And you mentioned lifting. How critical right now is your strength and conditioning coach right now?
And you know what? We've got a great strength conditioning coach. He does a terrific job with them. He's our lifeline to our guys right now. We can't work with them for a while here. And again, you look at the development that needs to take place in these guys. The weight room, the body composition, changing bodies is a big part of what we're going to get done here in the next couple of years.
And you mentioned Trayvon. Is it important to, as much as we say, put on muscle, but so it doesn't take away from his athletic ability?
Well, you look at Trayvon's frame, and it's unlikely he'll ever be a 240-pound bruiser. I don't think his joints would handle that very well. You look at a guy like Tweet. You know what? He had a good, solid build by the time he was done, but he could never be bulky. I think you're looking at the same thing with Trey, but what you're trying to do with Trey is, again, that functional strength that allows you to be a basketball player at a very high level, that allows you to move people underneath the basket, that allows you to change direction a little bit quicker. That's what you're specifically targeting with him, and hopefully it adds for a few more pounds, but it probably won't be as drastic as maybe some people we've seen go through this program.
Touch on Marshall, even with Taylor Braun, for example. Are you looking for him to maybe develop his three-point shot a little bit more? Marshall, are you just looking for his all-around game to improve? Even Auberg, how's Jordan doing?
Well, we'll start with Marshall. With him, I think one of the things we got to do is just get him the ball more. And I've looked at a lot of tape from a lot of different programs that utilize the post well. It's a way that I like to play anyway, but we haven't pretty much since Andre Smith left, we haven't had that guy in the post to go to. I think he can develop into a guy more in that line in terms of scoring in the post. Scoring in different ways than Andre, but scoring nonetheless. We've got to touch the post more with him. Yeah, he could, his he could shoot the ball a little bit better from 15 to 17. And when I say better, I guess I'd say quicker release and maybe a little tighter shot. But I think the other thing that he's got to develop this summer and throughout the course of this next year is if he's going to develop in the type of post scorer that I think he can be, he's got to be able to pass out of there too, because he's going to start to command double teams at some point here. We want him to be ready for that as well. Jordan Auberg, it's good to have him back. You know, he was good the last month of the season in terms of practice. His length is phenomenal. It's a big summer for him in terms of when you redshirt a kid, they lift the whole time. He wasn't even able to lift for about 3 months of that, 2.5 months of that, just no activity whatsoever. So he's got to do some catching up that way. He didn't get any more frail, but he didn't add the type of muscle we wanted. Didn't have the chance to add the type of muscle we wanted to until he got cleared to play, and now he's rolling in the right direction. But I honestly think with those two, we've got a pretty good combo at the 5, and the more productivity we can get out of that position, the better, because it's not a position across the league that generally gets a whole lot of productivity. A lot of times 5s in our league are rebound and defense guys.
Do you see those two possibly complementing each other, being on the court at the same time?
Well, I'm gonna experiment before and during the Canada trip with playing them at the same time. Now that may mean some concessions. It might mean some zone. Don't fall off your chair. I might play some zone. But it's a work in progress. They're good players. I probably have to play them together at some point. How much? It depends on how well they complement each other.